Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel, I hope. Everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Todd Chrisley issues warning. He'll report all involved in prison abuse. After months behind bars, Todd Chrisley has emerged from prison not just as a free man, but as a man with a mission. Since his release, the Chrisley Knows Best star has taken to the airwaves with a bold promise to expose everything he witnessed while incarcerated and hold his abusers accountable. While the public was still processing the shock of his early release, granted through a pardon by former President Donald Trump, Chrisley wasted no time speaking out. And if his recent podcast appearances are anything to go by, he isn't mincing words. A notebook of truths. In a recent episode of his podcast, Todd offered a glimpse into his time in prison, pulling back the curtain on what he described as a pattern of mistreatment and abuse. One striking detail? He kept a notebook, one he says was full of documentation on what he and others endured. When asked what the notebook contained, Todd replied plainly, "All the notes I'm gonna use to tell on y'all when I get out." According to him, what he saw wasn't just personal, it was systemic. He claims case managers abused their authority and that counselors neglected their duties. But what stood out most was his insistence that this wasn't just about him. "I made a promise I wouldn't leave those men behind," he said. That declaration struck a chord with many of his fans, who have been following Todd and Julie's journey closely since their prison sentences and eventual release. Fans rally behind Todd's bold message. Chrisley's statements have stirred reactions across social media, especially among fans who see his advocacy as a potential turning point in how prison conditions are addressed publicly. "He's gonna make a difference, and he's the best advocate for it," one supporter wrote. Another echoed that sentiment. "I hope he truly helped them. He's in the best position to make a difference and advocate for injustice in the prison system." And then there are those simply grateful to see him speaking up. "Thanks, Todd, for not forgetting those men. Glad you and Mrs. Julie are home safe." What comes next? With Chrisley vowing to shed light on what he witnessed, questions loom about what's actually in that notebook and what actions he plans to take next. Will it spark investigations? Will it reignite conversations around prison reform? One thing's certain, Todd Chrisley didn't just walk out of prison with freedom. He walked out with purpose. It was a sweltering July morning when the prison walls that held Todd Chrisley echoed with an unexpected fury, not from a riot, but from the reality TV star's voice, trembling with rage and conviction. In a move that stunned inmates, guards, and fans alike, Todd, once known for his charm and quick wit on Chrisley Knows Best, stood tall and issued a fiery ultimatum. "I will report every single one of you involved in the abuse. I'm done being silent." For months, there had been whispers of misconduct within the Pensacola federal prison camp, where Todd was serving his sentence for bank fraud and tax evasion. While the Chrisley family publicly tried to keep the peace, Todd's latest outburst suggests that behind the scenes, he was enduring something darker, something more insidious. The breaking point. Sources inside the facility reveal that Todd had been documenting mistreatment for weeks, perhaps even months. Though he never spoke out directly, his demeanor reportedly shifted. Gone were the light-hearted jokes, replaced by quiet defiance and frequent visits to the prison chaplain. The final straw? According to an anonymous inmate, Todd witnessed a fellow inmate being physically assaulted by two guards during a routine cell check. Todd lost it, the source claimed. He was yelling, telling them to stop. When they turned their attention to him, he didn't back down. He told them he knew their names, and he'd report them. He said, "You think I'm scared? I've seen worse snakes in designer suits." Todd was removed from the scene, reportedly taken to solitary confinement for disrupting order. But when he emerged 2 days later, he wasn't shaken, he was enraged. Todd's open statement. Within hours of his release from solitary, Todd sent a message through his attorney, which has now gone viral. "I have been quiet for too long. Out of fear, yes, but fear should never silence truth. I am officially documenting all abuse, neglect, threats, and mistreatment inside these walls. If any inmate or staff member thinks their position will shield them from accountability, think again. I have names, dates, actions, and even footage smuggled out. This is your warning. I will not go down without exposing social media and national headlines. Supporters praised Todd's courage, while others questioned whether the reality star was exaggerating to gain sympathy. Julie and Savannah react. Back home, Julie Chrisley, serving her own sentence in Kentucky, reportedly broke down in tears upon hearing her husband's bold declaration. According to Savannah, who has been holding the family together during this legal storm, her mother is terrified of the repercussions Todd might face. He's brave, Savannah told People in an exclusive phone interview, but he's also vulnerable. These people can retaliate. We've already seen what happens when you cross them. Savannah added that the family had long suspected Todd was being harassed behind bars, but could never get confirmation. He didn't want to worry us, but I could hear it in his voice. He wasn't himself anymore. Fellow inmates back him up. In a surprising turn of events, Todd's accusations have begun gaining traction inside the prison itself. At least 3 inmates have reportedly come forward to offer written statements corroborating his claims. One inmate, whose identity is being protected for safety reasons, shared that Todd had been a voice for the voiceless in here. He may be a celebrity, but in here, we're all just numbers. Still, he speaks up when others stay silent. He saw things and didn't just look the other way. That takes guts. The Bureau of Prisons, BOP, has yet to issue a formal comment, but an internal investigation has allegedly been launched following Todd's public statement. Political interest and legal support. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crenshaw, known for representing high-profile prison abuse cases, publicly announced he would represent Todd if necessary. I don't care if he's a reality TV star or a janitor. If what Todd Chrisley is alleging is true, it demands full transparency and legal accountability. We've seen these stories too many times. People suffering in silence while institutions turn a blind eye. Even members of Congress have taken notice. Rep. Loretta Fairchild, DNY, released a brief statement calling for a review of the Pensacola facility, citing Todd's claims and the alarming number of similar complaints from other inmates over the last year. The risk of retaliation. Despite growing support, the danger for Todd remains very real. Former inmates and prison activists warn that speaking out can come at a high cost. They can isolate him, restrict visits, delay mail, or worse, said Marcus Hill, a prison rights advocate. But Todd's visibility could be his greatest shield. According to sources, the Chrisley family is already mobilizing a media and legal campaign to ensure Todd remains safe and protected while investigations unfold. Savannah has even hinted at releasing a tell-all podcast, detailing everything the family has endured since Todd and Julie's sentencing. What's next for Todd? For now, Todd remains in custody, but no longer quietly. His bold stand has drawn attention far beyond reality TV fandom. What started as a sentence for financial fraud may now evolve into a much bigger legal battle. One about human rights, abuse of power, and the courage it takes to speak up when the system is stacked against you. Todd's final words in the statement continue to echo. They thought I'd break, that I'd go away quietly, but they underestimated one thing. I may be behind bars, but I still have a voice, and I intend to use it. Whether you love him, loathe him, or simply know him from TV, Todd Chrisley has made one thing clear. He's not going down without a fight. And in doing so, he just might shine a spotlight on the very system that tried to silence him.